I'm Jim Pirri, and in Final Fantasy 15, I play King Regis.
You have no cause for concern.
Nor do you.
Take heed. Once you set forth, you cannot turn back.
King Regis is a very wise, loyal, courageous ruler, and he has to make some tough decisions. What stood out about him to me was his love for his family, his willingness to protect his people.
My name is Ray Chase, and I play Noctis Lucis Calum in Final Fantasy 15. Don't know about you, but I'm ready as I'll ever be. What's interesting about Noctis is he's not your average, ordinary prince who goes on to try to save the world. He definitely doesn't go into it because he wants to. He's going into it because all of this is forced upon him out of nowhere. Over the course of the game, he learns what it means to be a hero. He learns humanity through the course of this game. And he loses a lot, too. I'd like to be alone right now. Give me some space.
I'm sorry for intruding on Noct time. Well, I'll head back then. Night.
My name is Robbie Daymond, and I play Prompto in Final Fantasy 15. Well, when I first read for Prompto, immediately I recognized his archetype from Final Fantasy series, but I didn't want to play him as just straight comedy relief. So even though that's sort of his function within the four, we wanted to be really careful to make sure that he was grounded and human and still believable, being a real person going through his own journey.
So, any bright ideas, Ignis?
A dark one, as it were. A frontal assault would leave us exposed, but if we move under cover of night, we might be able to infiltrate the base unnoticed. Hi, my name's Adam Croasdell, and I play Ignis in Final Fantasy 15. Ignis is the confidant to the king-in-waiting, Noct, and he is very cerebral, quite funny without meaning to be, and an organizer, extremely organized and extremely capable. I'll analyze what intelligence we have available to find us a way in.
Sounds good, Specs.
He tries to keep Noct and the lads out of trouble, and has varying degrees of success doing it.
I gotcha! Pull yourself up!
My name's Chris Parson, and in Final Fantasy 15, I play Gladio. Gladio is a guy who he has a soft spot, but at the same time, he's a ferocious guy that you do not want to cross. That's the thing that is really appealing about the Gladio character, is that he is a tough guy and he is a comical guy, but at the same time, he cares deeply about his crew. He's kind of the Papa Bear of the crew.
It is in receiving mercy that men offer praise, and in shedding grace that the gods elicit worship.
I'm Amy Shiels, and I play Lunafreya in Final Fantasy 15. I would describe Luna as a very strong woman. She's quite reserved, but still manages to give across this major passion for everything in life that she cares about. She is this wonderful spirit who just cares about everyone else.
I vow, the king will prove himself worthy.
She's informed, she's educated, she's an incredible woman to play.
And what's your story?
I'm an impatient traveler, ready to turn ship. A man of no consequence.
Well, hi there. I'm Darin DePaul, and I play Ardyn in Final Fantasy 15 and in Kingsglaive. The most enjoyable part of playing Ardyn, the writing. He's a wonderfully written character. He's very human because he has so many different sides. He's got that very sincere insincerity, and I adored that about him. Ardyn Izunia, Chancellor of Niflheim. He's just so oily, but just so much fun.
That day, he didn't want you to remember him as the king. In what time you had left, he wanted to be your father.
My name is Matthew Mercer, and I play the role of Cor in Final Fantasy 15. Corleones is a person who's bound by honor, he's bound by the promises he's made to his friends and to his king, and he's very much kind of a station of the old guard. What draws me to him is his sense of honor, his sense of duty, but also the fact that failure is taken so strongly to heart that he wants to ensure that he makes up for his mistakes, no matter what the cost to him.
The king entrusted the role of protector to you.
Entrusted it to me? Then why didn't he tell me that? Why did he stand there smiling as I left? Why? I think the story of Final Fantasy 15 is the hallmark of this game.
It really is a classic coming-of-age story. And in the end, it's Noct's story. But the beautiful part about it is that his three friends who surround him the closest all take their individual journeys.
Things like father and son, brother to brother. These are real-life things that I think people can relate to. I was thrilled with how high the stakes were. Always. People really lose something.
It's thrilling and it's sad and you're just getting to use everything.
It's heart-pounding in terms of how exciting it is.
It's an epic quest. It's a tale of betrayal, a tale of friendships for life, and a tale of triumph against insurmountable odds.
There's a lot of that fresh delivery that creates its own story and its own essence beyond the rest of the series before it, but also has enough of that continued thread of love that all the previous games had, where you feel like it's still home the Final Fantasy series always was. That to me is a sign of a true successor to what is probably one of the greatest game series to hit the whole genre and market.
Final Fantasy was the series that made me want to step into voice acting in my younger years. When Final Fantasy X came out and it was the first voiced JRPG, that moment was like, that's what I want to do.
He always had faith in you, that when the time came, you would ascend for the sake of your people.
For Core, being the mentor and the teacher to them was a really, really wonderful and new experience of a character archetype for me. And so it was really fun to kind of take on that position, to show up when it was necessary to knock some heads and get them to think straight. He definitely has that kind of old soldier experience in his lifetime, and so we wanted to make sure that we got a depth and gravitas over the rest of the player party, which are generally younger, more youthful and energetic.
The boats bring you here. They'll not take you forth.
When the auditions came through, I almost didn't audition for this character. There were a lot of older characters and deeper voice characters, which I normally gravitate towards, and I looked at Ardyn and I'm like, oh, I get this guy, but they won't use me for this one. And I did one take because I went, he's a lot of fun.
The differences between Gladio and myself are vast. Gladio is outgoing and has muscles and hair, and I'm not like that.
Voicing Noctis was definitely a journey. He's someone who tries very hard to be cool, but doesn't really know how to go about doing it. Everything he says has just a little bit of weight to it. He doesn't know how to just sort of like throw things away and go with the flow. He's kind of a nervous young man who tries to hide it, but he's not always successful in doing that.
Preparing for voicing the character, a lot of singing in the car on the way into the studio. And the other excellent thing to remember, green apples. Green apples stops clicking sounds in the mouth as you're speaking into the mic.
As with every voice character, I will do a warm-up every day and get ready for that. But with her also, there's the body language of her because she is so wonderful and her posture is so good. I would think almost of a ballerina. And because she moves so slowly, it kind of helps with how her voice would be held so deep within the diaphragm.
Preparation for video games is a little different than, say, stage or TV or other kinds of acting.
It's something that actually happens very quickly. A lot of times, because there's so much secrecy about the project, the role, we don't see it until we actually show up in the booth, and so we don't have a lot of time like you might in other media. It's kind of like the same as sight reading for musicians. You show up and you have to see it.
When you're playing a character that's unlike yourself, you really have to think about what the character looks like.
You go through this process of, well, let's try, what is it, a full-on British accent? Is it mid-Atlantic? And then how old is the character? That's the age, that's the posture, and that can inflect.
Preparing to voice Ardyn, he's got a higher voice than I normally do, because I'll do a lot of deeper voice characters and creature voices. Roar! That's not Ardyn. He's just got a very light, mellifluous voice.
The director, Keith Farley, did a fantastic job of making sure that every time we talked, it sounded natural.
I think the most important part was trusting in our directors and producers, that once we got in there after the first few sessions and really found the voice, figured out who the character was, allowing them to sort of guide us along the path of the game, it became easier and easier to step into that character's shoes every time we got in the studio.
It's a collaborative effort, and it helps in that preparation for the role.
We had quite a lot of action sequences towards the end. That was really fun. Some of the action you would never get to do in real life. So this, you really get to just embody it and imagine it, and it's so creative. You really get to just let go and be totally nuts in the studio.
There's so many incredible quotable lines from Final Fantasy 15, but without giving any away, I think my recurring most fun one is just variations of Noct and his name. Noct! 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 Oh, Noct!
There's some wacky stuff that we did when the guys are running around where Prompto says something like, "Hey Noct, how often do you go fishing?" And Noct goes, "Every day." And that was how it was written in the script, E-R-R-Y-D-A-Y. We were like, are we really gonna make this that contemporary? And we'll see if it's in the game. We worked on this game for roughly 2 years. It was only after a year of working on it that I started to meet the other people involved. Towards the end of recording, we finally got to see each other every single day. We were all going to the same location at one time, so I was always running into my castmates, and that was a lot of fun.
We're storytellers, so it naturally becomes fun, and there's repartee and there's banter. We became such a tight unit in the booth.
I just feel really grateful to have been involved in this project.
There's incredible detail in the characters and the voices and how they're rendered.
The whole world is so incredibly vast that you have ample opportunity to draw on all your life's experiences, and it definitely called for that.
We had so much fun recording this, and I really think that that's going to come through in the game.
The experience of recording Final Fantasy 15 was probably the best video game I've ever worked on.
Have I played any of the previous Final Fantasy games? Yeah, absolutely. I've played all of them. The very first one I played was the cartridge for the NES. I remember blowing on it to get it to work. Final Fantasy. But I haven't beat them all. I've just played them all.
My favorite Final Fantasy is a bit controversial. I enjoyed 5 and I enjoyed 8. Go ahead, take me on. Come on.
What appeals to me most about Final Fantasy 15 has to be the epic scale of the game. It's a franchise that is so seminal. It's been a thrill to be a part of it and to discover it and to sort of understand what it's like creating the world of it.
To be a part of something that is this legacy, these epic adventures is just so much fun.
The thing about Final Fantasy, in terms of the animation and the color and lighting in the video game, with every game that comes out, you can see there's a jump. There's a big jump.
I didn't know until, I think, my third callback that this was Final Fantasy, and I was just like, what? The art design is gorgeous. The character design is gorgeous. The world is something I've never seen before. So being part of this means a great deal to me.
The people that I worked with were phenomenal.
Everyone I've found working on this game has been really committed and professional at what they do, and I feel like you're at the highest level of your game.
And it all turned out that from these random actors, we all ended up being really compatible friend-wise, which was a huge bonus.
A lot of fun memories involve getting to hear various cohorts or friends' audio passes when we go and record, hearing scenes they've already done, and then being able to throw in outtakes and bloopers, going like, shut up, Robbie. Shut up, Ray! Stop it! Or occasionally leaving those in the actual audio file for the next time they come in to go ahead and throw off their performance. It's a little game we voice actors play to kind of tease each other, drop little bombs in the audio booth.
I have numerous fun memories of working on this game. My favorite that sticks out to me is one of the days an actor had brought in a magazine that had Final Fantasy 15 on the front of it. And it's the first time we saw something that was tangible, that we were thinking, this is real, it's actually happening. We're not just in these little studios. It's happening outside, guys.
What appeals to me most about Final Fantasy 15 is the themes that are involved, and I think that's a huge part of Final Fantasy games. You know, you don't want to narrow something that takes 50 to 80 hours to finish into, one sentence, but it's also kind of beautiful too if you can do that. For me, this one is about a coming-of-age story wrapped up in fealty and brotherly love. That idea of brotherly love is something that the world could use a little bit of now. So knowing that you can go through life and your constants that are your friends and your family can change, but you can still be you and you can still grow. If you can get that through to a player in a game, I think, mission accomplished.
Noctis' journey and his path with his friends is one of loss, of acceptance that the world is full of darkness, the world is full of evil, even contesting with your own internal struggles. It's coming from that naive, youthful frustration that things in the world aren't how they should be, and then deciding to accept responsibility to make the changes to form the world to that vision of what you want it to be.
It's about people really going after what they care about, just finding what it is that they love and care about and going for it and giving up absolutely everything that they have in order to pursue the greater good.
The story of Final Fantasy is epic, it's beautiful, and it's something you have to experience.